This is the Hartford Online Radio Network. 21st Century Audio. Delivered. On thehorn.com.
Another successful Black Eyed and Blues music hour has come and gone, and now it's time for the big show. News Talk tonight, I'm Brian Parker. We are sponsored by Gateway Financial Group, the accounting firm of Butterwoods and Meyerjack, Deepwater Seafood of Avon, Sherpa Technologies, and CentralCTDental.com. Representative Vincent Candelora, Deputy Minority Leader, over in the General Assembly, is going to be joining us. What's that?
Hey, I said.
He wants to be majority leader, but no, he's minority.
Yeah, no, he wants to be majority, but he's minority. And the reason is he's going to have to move state if he wants to do that. Or change party. Jen Just, columnist Jen Just, is joining us again. If you haven't seen her political poetry on CT News Junkie, what the hell's wrong with you? Go check it out.
Really?
Dave Moore is also here, and he's going to be doing some Dave Moore news, so why don't we get that fired up right now with all your Moore news. Here's Dave Moore.
Thank you, Brian. From CTNewsJunkie.com, Caligari endorses Rohraback. Former State Senator Sam Caligari, the last Republican candidate for Connecticut's 5th Congressional District in 2010, has endorsed State Senator Andrew Rohraback's candidacy for the crowded field running for the seat. Caligari says that Rohraback's ability to work with lawmakers of all ideologies and his integrity makes Rohraback the strongest candidate. From the Middletown Eye, Council approves parking ticket collection contract, police expansion, and senior tax relief. Somehow that's all related together. I know. The Middletown Common Council approved by a vote of 8-4 a plan to hire an outside company to implement a parking ticket and billing technology. The company, CompPlus Data, will charge the city a monthly fee of $1,700 and 20% for all past due tickets and 8% of all tickets going forward. The Common Council also unanimously approved the addition of 3 new police officers, one of them a sergeant, moving the total number of the force closer to 120. The Common Council also unanimously approved of the senior tax relief program proposed by Mayor Dan Drew. And from our friends at CT Environmental News, CFE seeks to intervene in the Northeast Utilities merger with NSTAR. The Connecticut Fund for the Environment has submitted a request for intervention to the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority, seeking to ensure that 9,500 acres of open space owned by Northeast Utilities in approximately 90 municipalities will be protected when it possibly merges with NSTAR. The organization does not oppose the proposed merger, but there is a concern that if the merger goes through that there is a change in management in Northeast Utilities that could endanger the open space. CFE has successfully taken this type of action before in 2000 when there was a proposed merger between NU and Con Edison. That's your news, and I'm Dave Moore.
Is Dave Moore right there. All your Moore news. All those news articles can be found on the Independent Media Network of Connecticut, IMNCT.com. You know, it's kind of funny. I have to grab the very official.
Uh-oh.
Heading back.
This is it may look
The
like
wedge.
a common
Scary.
golf club here, but it's not. This is actually called a camera de-effer-upper.
Excellent.
The chat room has told me that the camera is effed up.
Well, I'm short is the problem, but
All right, you do it. But we are now experiencing the camera de-effer-upper at its finest. And there, keep going down.
It's gonna take a while.
Keep
Yeah,
going
keep
down.
going.
Okay, that's fine. That's perfect. Don't move. Okay, there you go. There it is.
We
This
love
camera-
technology.
I know.
By the way, the camera de-effer is sponsored by Volky Design, Titleist Golf Clubs. Thank you. It's $100 right there. We just got for that.
Yeah.
See if you can wedge your way out of that one.
Oh!
Ching.
It's like he knew it was coming.
Just a chip shop, baby.
Oh, God.
Super Bowl ads. You know what? All right, fine. We'll quickly talk about the Super Bowl ads. Super Bowl ads, what'd you think?
Most of them sucked.
Most of them sucked.
Yeah.
There were a couple good ones.
I remember
thought they all
back in the
sucked.
day when the games were horrible and you said, shut up, the commercials are coming.
Yeah.
You know,
Or-
what
yeah,
is
someone
wrong
was
now?
saying-
Like the games were actually good and the commercials suck. What
Yeah,
the hell?
because it's all about the pee factor. When do you go to pee? If you go to pee on second down, commercials are good. If you wait for the commercials to pee, they're all terrible. But let me tell you what else is really bad. Halftime shows. You know what? Let's just get rid of them. Let's just get rid of them. Run more commercials. Madonna.
Okay.
She can put on a show, but here's the thing. She looked like it was like the geriatric halftime show.
Well,
when she did those somersaults, I'm like, oh my God, you're going to break a hip.
Exactly.
It was so
scary.
bad. And like, I don't know if she had like bad footwear on, but she couldn't even walk around. It was bad.
It looked like she was starting off with Walk Like an Egyptian, but it wasn't that song. So
It was,
yeah.
I don't even know what it was.
It was a few collections from her first, say, 4 or 5 albums, and it just really didn't make sense for 2012.
Halftime show brought to you by Geritol.
I
For all
felt
your
bad.
pain relief. I was embarrassed for her. Because you know what? Clearly, she tried. And she's not really a bad singer. I mean, she's got some chops, and she can sing, and she means it, and whatever, and she's a big star.
Yeah, but she was
Sure.
lip syncing. She
But
really
was
wasn't
it-
even singing then.
Really? No, I didn't. It didn't sound like it was lip sync.
She
It
was,
sounded
no,
like there was.
She was lip syncing.
So there was actual error in the recording. That's
I'm-
fascinating.
But
I
don't
think-
they always do that on the halftime show now, or no?
I don't know. I think
just
when
assume
Aerosmith did
anyway.
Think about how much dancing she was doing. There is no way that woman had enough oxygen to be able to move the body and move the vocal cords appropriately.
You know, I have to admit, I
could
like
be.
though. I'm gonna get this wrong because it's the first time I knew who they were. LMFAO.
Yeah.
The mashup with them, that was cool. I liked
That was
them. And then
nice.
I went to their video on YouTube, and that was better. But that was kind of fun.
It was all a train wreck.
the-
I didn't like any of it.
The best halftime show that I recall was Paul McCartney. I
Yeah.
thought that McCartney
He
rocked
sucks.
it.
He's got
Yeah.
no talent. He's going nowhere
Are
with his
you
career.
right?
He's
Oh,
going nowhere.
Shut up.
The guy, yeah, he's gonna,
Well,
bum on the street. That's what he is.
I could do without the name of his latest album, but whatever.
What's the
There is
name of
that.
his latest album?
Kisses on the Bottom. Like, I don't even want to
Might
know
as well just
what
say
that
kisses
means.
on the bum.
It's like,
That's cute.
I heard it's a good album, but I don't even.
Yeah.
whatever.
Wow. All right.
Well,
my
you know.
favorite commercial,
Yeah.
Doritos.
Doritos,
It was a good one. It was a good. I
Doritos,
do love
Doritos.
cats, but
Where
it was good. It was
Fluffy gets buried by the dog,
Oh,
That's
yeah.
off
and the
screen.
guy is getting bribed.
awesome. The cat
by
getting
the
buried
dog.
is off screen.
Right, but
It's-
you see
Yeah,
the
no,
collar.
it's awesome.
Implied violence. This commercial rated NC-17 for implied violence.
I like the VW one. I love the reference to Darth Vader at the end. I thought that was very
I
cool.
thought that was cute. I thought that the dog working out and getting in better
I thought the
shape
dog
was
was,
cute.
Dogs?
was more interesting. Yeah, dogs do well.
Ruled during
Yeah.
the,
You know
the
what's
ads this year.
You know,
Yeah.
I didn't see. Maybe I just missed it, but I didn't see like the Clydesdales come out. You know how the Clydesdales always have like a pony that wants to be a Clydesdale kind of thing or something.
Right.
That's probably one of my favorite. I don't know. I didn't see those.
The best of those was when they were doing the football, and
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
kicking
yeah,
the ball
yeah.
back, and
Yes,
then you
yes,
have a ref run in and it's a zebra.
Yeah. No, that is fun.
Yes.
That was cool. They did have the Clydesdales. It's just they were being Clydesdales. They were pulling a wagon because it was the end of Prohibition.
Maybe they're old
Woohoo.
also.
I don't know.
It could be.
But I thought that the Budweiser commercials this year completely tanked.
Yeah, no, they
Tanked.
and that was the
And they used to be some of the best.
yeah, exactly.
Whatever
Yeah.
happened to the Bud Bowl? Remember the Bud Bowl?
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
That was kind of fun. That was kitschy.
And the Bud Frogs.
Yeah, the Bud Bowl was
Bud.
hilarious.
Why, sir? I just,
Yeah.
you still
Yeah.
remember it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
yep,
means they did their job.
exactly.
Yeah.
They got hooked in
But
your
you know,
brain.
the other thing too is that I think commercials have gotten so expensive in there that they're kind of like, we got nothing left over for the talent. We spent it all in the airtime.
Well,
We're just gonna put up a bottle of Bud Light, and that's gonna be the
that
big
was
commercial.
basically one of their commercials was
Yeah.
the platinum. It's
Yeah,
like,
no, it
really?
it certainly makes sense. But let's get to some serious issues. On the phone right now, we have Rep Vincent Candelora. Vinny, you there?
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
Welcome to On the Horn.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we have a topic here to discuss with you and everyone in the chat room about how I'm going to get my refund from the state of Connecticut, and that is they're going to issue me a debit card. Is that right?
That's correct. It's one of the ways they're going to be issuing refunds. They will continue to do direct deposit as well.
Right. So you have the option of doing direct deposit if you don't want to give the federal government direct access or unfettered access to your, not the federal, but the state government, to your bank account. Then you'll have to, instead of getting a check, get these debit cards, which will be loaded up with whatever it is. If you have a return, in fairness, that is over $10,000, A, God bless you, and two, they will still issue checks for over $10,000. But now it's an interesting point because, and I want to get your opinion on this. We have the head of Revenue Services, the great Kevin Sullivan, has said that the debit cards actually give taxpayers the opportunity of more security and convenience. And if it's that convenient and secure, if it's more secure, wouldn't you want the big paychecks like $10,000 and above for tax returns going the way of the debit card? But obviously they know that the most secure way is not to have someone carrying around their tax return in their wallet and instead having an actual check that you can just deposit and be done with it. Well, what's your opinion on the security issue there?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. With a check, the money goes into your account and you're instantly managing it, as opposed to a debit card, which certainly is carrying a balance, and depending on the amounts, you might be needing to cash it out over several transactions. So you could be holding on to this debit card for 6 or 7 months with significant balances as you're paying it down.
Yeah, and if you have if you have a big balance, like if you get a $1,000 refund or something, hey, that's money I want to use for a particular reason, and it might not be just going to the store and buying a flat screen TV. I might want to, I don't know, pay off a credit card, or make an additional payment on my mortgage, or I might want to throw it into my savings account or whatever. I don't like the fact that it's a vehicle to get you to spend it, and it seems like they're trying to hide that. They're trying to simulate the economy by making people spend these things. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. It is possible that we're trying to encourage spending, because the debit card certainly is less likely to be put into a bank account, but rather be used for groceries or what have you. On the security issue, there are many retail stores that use wireless to capture and take in credit cards and debit cards. And just in Branford, a neighboring town of mine, we've seen a particular retail store have credit card information stolen and people's balances being withdrawn because of the wireless access to that information. So as a security measure, there's certainly an issue there with the use of a debit card if you go into one of these stores that have wireless. And certainly the second issue is, I think that they are encouraging people to spend money, but also it is a way for government to hold on to your money a bit longer, because these cards will be holding balances, and the state does not have to turn that money over until those cards are used. So it's a way of the state slowing down paying out the refunds, especially at a time when we are in a real cash crunch. We continue to run into the red. Similarly, like we've heard of California running out of money in March, Connecticut has already been out of money since December.
Well, shocking stuff. State Treasurer Denise Nappier says that this will cost $25,000 through Chase, J.P. Morgan Chase, and there's somehow aligned with People's United Bank here in the state. But there's a savings of $290,000. So on the surface, that seems pretty good. What the other question is, where I can maybe get in favor of this, or at least identify a pressure point of why they might be doing this. Fascinating statistic. Last year, Revenue Services issued 17,474 refund checks that were not cashed, and 11,745 of those, or some 67%, were in the amounts of between $1 and $20. So $1 That's a lot of chump change, really, and probably a lot of this. I was talking to one of our sponsors over at Budwitz and Meyerjack, the accounting firm in Farmington. They were saying, we do a lot of these returns, and a lot of it is, the kid gets a summer job or something, and he makes a couple bucks, and he paid the payroll tax and he paid the state tax, but then he wasn't really supposed to, so he gets back $7 or something from the state, and so these little tiny things, they're going to go away. But what's even worse from a philosophical standpoint is, if you don't spend this money over a year, if you don't spend this within the next 12 months on your debit card, you are dinged $1 per year by J.P. Morgan Chase, and they get to keep that money. I asked Michael Zebka, who's the managing partner over at Budwitz Meyerjack, what's the usual routine for those checks, and he explained it this way: these are instruments that are negotiable, and like many checks, you got 90 days to cash these things or do something or deposit or whatever. And if it doesn't get negotiated, if the bank, for some reason doesn't honor the check, why they wouldn't, I don't know, but doesn't honor the check, which they're legally allowed to do, then the state has to reissue that check, but they don't take away anything for that. They give you back 100% of whatever the heck your refund was. So now we have, now we have this system where people are going to be losing their money.
Right, because in the past what would happen is it actually gets kicked over to unclaimed property. And so then your name would go onto a list with that dollar amount associated with it, and the treasurer would publish that list and give you an opportunity to make claim on that property in the future. And there is a website right on the treasurer's homepage that you can go to unclaimed property, put your name in, look up and see if there's any amounts that are owed to you. And the question, I guess, would be is, that's fine that 17,000 checks might not have been cashed, but how much of it is reclaimed a couple of years later by these individuals when they go to the website of unclaimed property? And so now we are changing that policy where the money is going to essentially be forfeited over to a bank over time. And the other question, too, is that we've had so many checks not cashed, is you have to wonder how much fraud is in the system as well, and what implications does that have, especially with the earned income tax credit, which is another tax refund we'll be giving people. There is a 30% fraud associated with it at the federal level. The state is now instituting it, so these debit cards that are going out may have an element of fraud associated with it. And are we foregoing the opportunity to be able to uncover that we otherwise would be able to uncover in a check format, where these people need to go to a bank and have an account to cash a check? Now they're just carrying around a debit card and would be able to have access to those funds instantly. So while it may be convenient for an individual, I think it's not necessarily protecting the taxpayers' dollars that we're stewards of.
I do not disagree. I also was interested on, I want people to get their money, and there is a ability to get the money by depositing this card, the value of it, into your bank account. But there will be small fees associated with that, 75 cents, which is not much, but still, from a philosophical point, there shouldn't be any fees associated with this.
Agreed.
And here's the real stick. Who's paying for that? Not only is, are the people paying for it, whose money it is, but in order to do this, people can avoid this fee by doing what's called a cash advance at any bank that accepts Visa, or they can take a cash deposit and then put that into their bank account. Normally, that is a transaction. Will all the other banks are required now to, by the state, not charge a transaction fee for that. So the banks are in Connecticut that are not People's or Chase, because Chase actually doesn't have any ATMs here, have to do it for free. But you know what? People's gets to charge a fee. Isn't that fascinating?
I didn't realize that.
I was talking to Ken Burns, who is the executive vice president of retail operations over at Farmington Bank. He was explaining to me that it is unfortunate that that Farmington Bank will not be charging a fee for this. So if you want to go over to Farmington Bank and do this, but this is normally a transaction that, hey, you know what? We're a bank. We're here to, we're here to make money. We're a business like anything else. And we're being mandated. This is a great example of unfunded mandate, but now from the state to the private sector of you will do this. And I don't quite understand how that could, what business does, or what right, what power does the state government have over a business to say, you will do this, you will make a transaction for your business and you're not allowed to charge for it. That's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good question, because certainly the Commissioner of Revenue Services does not have purview over the banks. So that would be a question I think the legislature should look into, because I'm not sure we have the ability just to tell banks they can't charge for that transaction fee.
There is a guy, let's see here, David Rivera, who is he is with who is he with? Is he with DR? He's not with DRS. I think he's with the Treasurer's Office. He is not the guy that I called on this issue, but he has, I'll give him credit, been trying to find the answer. He doesn't know what the answer is on some of these questions. So I want to give a little shout out to David Rivera for being a good state employee and trying. He's been emailing me, maybe here's the answer, maybe here's the answer. But, clearly he's not the guy that knows, and he can't find anyone to give him the answer.
It points to the problem of how this thing was rolled out, because this was rolled out about a week ago, really with no prior warnings from the commissioner. And so a lot of the agencies didn't have an opportunity to really gather the information to answer questions. No one in the legislature was informed about this prior to it being put out, which, was unfortunate, because certainly we're the ones that have a lot of constituents calling us and asking a lot of questions, and it's been a scramble over the last week to try to answer them all and gather this information.
Vinny, do you know John McKinney, Senator John McKinney from Fairfield? Yep. He is questioning this. He has a quote in, where am I getting this? From CT News Junkie. Legislators and members of the public have a number of questions pertaining to the new state policy, and those need to be answered, such as, is the state going to open accounts at Chase for the individual taxpayers? If so, what right does the state have to sign another person up for a bank account without their permission, or impose withdrawal limits? That's another thing we haven't gotten to. Are there limits on what you can withdraw?
My understanding is, and what was said to me is that they are going to be drawing off of an account that the state currently holds with Chase to pay out on these cards, but I do not believe they're opening individual accounts for each taxpayer. But it's a question that does need to be answered and clarified. I do know I had asked if they were going to open up a line of credit or how this would work, and they did say they were drawing off of an existing state account. So it didn't seem as if they were opening individual accounts for each card, but we don't know that for sure.
All right. Well, this is an important thing to know because
Absolutely.
To open these accounts, you need a lot of information like Social Security numbers. And I'll be damned if I don't want to give my Social Security number to Chase. Who's Chase?
My
That's nobody in my
understanding is
world.
that information is going to be supplied to Chase, the Social Security numbers and the people's names. But we don't know that for sure. But I've heard sort of through the grapevine that was happening. People's personal data was being transferred there. I agree with you. It's just really problematic. We have a fiduciary obligation to the state and to the taxpayers. And what sort of concerns me, which is a theme that's going, I think, across other jurisdictions in government, is we've become sort of a competitor with the private sector, and we're acting more as an element of the private sector as opposed to a public trust.
Yeah.
And philosophically, I think we're just going down a dangerous road that we should pay a little bit more attention to.
Now you have your ear to the rail here on what the scuttlebutt is. What are there people in the General Assembly that are really crazy in favor of this idea, or is it just the sort of executive staff positions from the Malloy administration that are giving this the thumbs up?
Well, it was an executive push. I don't think there's anyone in the legislature pushing it. In the 4 years I've been on finance, I've never seen a bill being proposed of that nature at all. So I think it is really an executive branch initiative to find efficiencies in government. In talking with both sides of the aisle, I think everyone in the legislature is really lukewarm to this because it's problematic for different demographics, for different people. And so we're the ones that are on the ground dealing with the constituents. And, there are elderly people that are used to checks that don't use credit cards that are going to be upset by this. There are people that don't even use debit cards, that don't want to use an ATM. Change is never easy. And then it's compounded when all of the answers or the questions can't be answered. So I think it's had a lukewarm reception because of the way it was rolled out.
Do you think, is this something that you guys are going to vote on, or is this one of the executive decisions and that's just going to be the way it is?
Yeah, I think, the commissioner has the purview to do this. There's no prohibition. I don't think the legislature will try to undo it at this point because it would sort of create more chaos. And I think what we need to do is get as much information as we can out to the public as quickly as possible as these refunds are coming in. And so, that would probably be our goal, and look at this for next year, because if this does not work well, or if it creates the wrong public policy that we want to see, maybe we'll put an end to it next session.
All right. I'm just thinking here, a very good friend of our show is George Jepson, the Attorney General. I wonder, maybe someone should give his office a call and say, is this legit? Can this be done?
Well, I think he's been contacted because any contracts that are entered into with the state, the Attorney General's office is required to review them. So my guess is that his eyes probably did cross the contract and they found it to be legitimate. So, I certainly invite him on your show, but I would guess that his office has already reviewed the four corners of the contract.
All right. He is Vincent Candelora, representative here in our wonderful General Assembly over here in the House. Thank you very much for being on. I know you got to run, but I do appreciate you calling in tonight, buddy.
Thanks, Brian. My pleasure.
All right, there he is.
Take care.
You can check him out on the state's website if you like him. He's down in the North Brantford area. That crazy North Brantford. Isn't there like some restaurant that I used to go to down there in North Brantford?
There's a bunch of them. Yummy.
Yeah, we used to go there with our buddy Gary LaJoy. Had that business down there.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I try not to.
But there was a good one. So there he is. We're going to do a little quick break here. We were a little long in the last hour, so we got to put in some commercials here. But and we will get back with Dave and Jen to discuss this issue. We'll do that right after this. Hang on.
Budwitz & Meyerjack PC is a large Connecticut-based CPA firm with offices in Cheshire and Farmington, Connecticut. Large enough to handle engagements of enterprises with annual revenues in excess of $100 million, yet small enough to cater to smaller businesses and individual clients who expect personalized attention from partners and staff. Client service is the cornerstone of our practice. Our clients have a fixed fee for their audit and tax work. What this means to the client is we're approachable. Personal communication and client services make for strong relationships. Budwitz & Meyerjack, certified public accountants.
Sandits Travel for business and leisure. We'll take you there. Sandits Travel has been proudly serving Connecticut since 1960. That's over 50 years. And we're ready for another 50 years of superior service. Whether you prefer to come in, call in, or log on, we invite you to explore how efficient, diverse, and fun it is to book through Sandits Travel. Save your money and your time with us. Sandits Travel. We'll take you there.
Better than a cod liver shake, and a lot more accessible. On the Horn. OnTheHorn.com.
All right, I'm just getting my Deepwater Seafood groove on. Deepwater Seafood of Avon.
Deep water.
Just for the hell of it. Farmington Valley's freshest seafood store. They will work with you and your schedule. Call ahead at 860-676-9657 or fax them at 677-2281. Deepwater.
Deep water.
We'll set aside your order for pickup after work Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Deepwater
Deep water.
has all sorts of great stuff on their menu, like sea scallops, fresh oysters, fish and chips, soups, picks, chatters. Having a party, paella for $12 and a salad is all you need, made with spicy chicken, andouille sausage, scallop, shrimp, and halibut. Deepwater Seafood.
Deep water.
Just for the halibut. There he is. Vinny Candelora, great guy for being on the show. Appreciate that. He is a Republican, and, you know, I need to, like, balance that because I feel like I have a lot of Democrats on the show. As
Not
I
one
look
I've
at
ever been on.
two Democrats.
Funny thing, I actually kind of agree with you guys on this issue.
You know what?
I don't
So
really
do
know.
I.
I don't really
I know. I'm trying to-
Bipartisan.
Yeah, I don't really know if this is a. I can't imagine this is more of a political issue. This is more of like a, hey, what the heck are you doing? You
Well, and
knuckleheads?
it is the land of steady habits. I mean, this is like the worst state in the world to throw
Change?
something on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, my problem too, and this would be as a Democrat, is how come People's Bank and Chase get favoritism? Like, why are those the two banks? And
why does Peoples get to charge a fee?
right. And how many? I mean, the poor people. I mean, again, it's the people in lower income that are going to. I mean, that's a problem for them with check cashing anyway, because it costs. But how many people can get to a People's ATM? I mean, I know Stop and Shop is everywhere, but
I have no idea. But I mean, it's not even that. It's just sort of like, why? Just write me the damn check.
It's my money.
Yeah.
Give
Right.
me my money.
Yeah.
And I think the worst thing, actually the worst thing that sticks with me is after a year, it's no longer all your money.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
why does Chase get to take, what did they didn't work for that money.
Nope.
Well, and the other thing, I mean, we all know about gift cards. I mean, how many gift cards do you have that are unused?
That's great, because I was thinking of that with the gift cards, because there was a big hubbub here with unused gift cards and when the retailer is allowed to do, write some of the
Take 'em
stuff
back,
off the
right.
books. And from a business perspective, it sucks to have a lot of gift cards out there that you don't know if it's coming down the pike.
Right.
I get that, but it's not very efficient as far as just doing business. But I don't think you're allowed to do that with my tax refund. That's my money. You already
Right,
got an
exactly.
interest-free loan, mister.
That was another thing that was running through my mind as you were doing the interview. Is like, wait a minute, if they're able to charge fees for the use of my money,
Right.
why don't I get to charge interest
Yeah.
to the state for the use of my money?
Right. For as
Well,
long as it's
this
sitting there in account.
fiduciary aspect is a neat thing,
Yeah.
except for the fact that, all right, maybe I should be more careful about the way I file my taxes so I'm not overpaying.
You know what? I would think that this is what we need to do. I
That's what I
think
think.
everyone in state government, and I mean, the executives, folks making like a couple bills a year off taxpayers, I think they should pay a 10% penalty for being elected. They need a little extra just because you always give it.
Yeah, that's
to
going to work
us.
out really well.
I think that's what it should be. And we should take over Rhode Island because they're a mess.
Don't ask him
What is
about
that?
his
I
single
don't-
bullet theory. Just don't.
Okay.
Oh, the silver bullet theory. That got me kicked off of one radio station. I no longer can broadcast in Los Angeles. Isn't that fun?
Oops.
My one bullet theory. It's a joke. But
Oh my God.
so yeah. So yeah, I guess we're all in agreement. But this looks like it's one of these things that is just going to happen, and nobody likes it, and we're just going to have to take it.
I don't think that it. I understand why you say that. Certainly, the representative, deputy minority leader, was concerned about the fact that the legislature really couldn't do anything. But frankly, we've learned in the last year the power of the people.
Yes.
Right on.
Really?
We're talking about
What did we
Look at
learn in the last?
Coleman.
social.
Look what happened with Susan B. Komen.
Yeah, can you explain that to me? Because that flew right out. That I didn't get that at all.
Oh, it was awesome.
They were going to
not what they did, but-
They were going to defund
certain healthcare providers because they were providing abortions.
Okay.
No, that's not what that. No.
I'm mixing up the stories. I'm sorry.
They were not. They had been funding Planned Parenthood for years for doing breast exams.
Right.
Okay.
The reason they claimed that they were going to stop was because Planned Parenthood was under investigation by Republicans in Congress. Now, there are any number of groups that are under investigation in Congress, and they weren't defunding them.
Okay.
So then when people raised an uproar and started looking into Komen, it turned out that one of the executive director of Komen was major GOP person. Like,
Right.
and turned out that she had a political...
She's now since resigned.
Who has now since resigned. But in the time that they said they were defunding Planned Parenthood, people were flocking on to refund Planned Parenthood, to give them money and, restock. And I'm trying to remember, there were a couple of big deal people that said that they were going to. But that was people. That was people saying.
We're missing another part of it. There's a congressional investigation of Planned Parenthood. So
Right.
they're doing something wrong.
No.
Or maybe, allegedly.
Oh,
they
there's
might
any
be.
number of congressional investigations that,
Okay.
may or may not have basis.
The investigation is not what I would call a real investigation, in that it's not that there was something that they have done overtly or covertly that was wrong. It's just it does not fit with the political agenda of these individuals who are in charge of committees who are now conducting these investigations. It's really a political
And the
move
Planned
on their part.
Parenthood thing is people don't like Planned Parenthood because what was the thing about like Catholic hospitals or something being required to?
That's another issue.
That's a completely other
the
thing.
The Obama administration has said as part of their new health care law that
all
hospitals must provide health care. Now, this excludes churches, and it excludes. I
didn't get that because that didn't make any sense to me. Churches don't
Right.
do that.
Right.
I mean, churches. But how about like church, like St. Mary's Hospital?
Catholic hospitals have to, but I believe there's exclusions in there as well that, and I can't remember exactly what the details are, but it's not nearly as bad and scary as everyone is saying.
You would have to apply to the federal government for an exemption
Right.
based on your religious orientation, etc.
Right.
The fact that they have to apply for a waiver is what's kicking them up.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, don't you want them to have to apply? Because I could just make, the chicken religion, and you just have to have chicken 5 days a week, and you're in my religion
for $1.
For $1, and and your offering plate is $1 a year, and then I'll pray chicken you, and that's my religion.
And if you're really working at it, you'll be without feathers.
Oh my God!
Remember, when you come to the front door, the password is swordfish.
Deep water.
Deep water. Ooh, that would be good. The password is deep water.
It's
like I'm 7 still. It's like I did this when I was 7. Echo, come to me, Luke. I am your father.
What I was getting at, as far as the social media was concerned, was look at what happened with the Arab Spring. Basically, you had whole nations that suddenly rose up and threw out the government that they didn't like.
Okay.
Well, we could do.
So the point here is we're going to do a Twitter revolution on our tax dollar. Nowhere but in America could this happen. But okay.
I'm just saying.
Well, Lon Simon actually used Twitter to really push the energy companies, as I recall, during the last storm.
Lon Simon's a freak. Come on, nobody takes him seriously.
Suddenly,
just kidding, buddy. Bang, I'm jumping my new website.
Exactly.
We're no longer on.
Suddenly, I have a pain in my chest. Lon Sideman is Darth Vader. Yeah, go ahead.
Lon Sideman is awesome. I love Aqua.
Yes, except he's a crazy liberal guy.
Minor detail.
But he's an activist, and he used Twitter and Facebook
He is,
to
yes.
push that, and I dare say there was more transparency as a result. And I think you're
There was
exactly
a definitive reaction.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's basically what we want. We want a definitive reaction from the Department of Revenue Services saying, maybe we'll rethink this. Because frankly, I don't think it's constitutional.
Or give people a choice. What I recall is that I thought there was a choice. Like, I wouldn't mind getting a debit card.
You have direct deposit is your
Right.
choice.
Well,
What I would
If you
say
have
is
a
if you have a
checking
choice
account.
between direct deposit, getting a check, or a debit card,
right.
one of the three.
I'm going to take a check every day of the week and
That's
twice on Sunday.
fine, well and good. There are some people who might like the debit card, but
I
it
don't
shouldn't be
want-
foisted on us.
No, yeah.
That's the point.
I
Just
guess.
because we fall within a certain category,
All right.
we're going to have to deal with the debit card or direct deposit? Please.
The other thing too
Don't
about
tell me
this
what
whole
to do with my money.
this whole story about and Candelora is right. This is rolled out horrendously, because then they made this stink about, oh, this is going to be great. As part of the deal with J.P. Morgan Chase, they will insure the cards through FDIC up to $250,000 per depositor. Let's think about what that means. So each depositor, they will insure this, and there's a cap of $250,000. Well,
like you do with most bank accounts.
right.
Right.
But here's the next little nugget. The state has already said that it won't be issuing cards for over $10,000.
Right.
So what the hell do I care about 25 or 250,000?
Just
No one's
insure
going
it up
to
10.
be getting that.
Right.
Yeah. So and are they marking up the price for the added insurance through FDIC?
Well,
I don't know. Wonderful. Well, we're giving you extra. Well, you're giving me like a quintuple raincoat. I don't need, 2 raincoats and 3 umbrellas. You know what I'm saying? But
it does make me feel like doing what you mentioned, Dave, is actually being more careful about my taxes. Like, I don't want a refund now.
Yeah.
Or I feel less likely to want, I feel less confident about, the nature of how the refund
Yeah.
is going.
now I certainly have been, and I just do. I mean, I own 2 businesses. This one doesn't make any money, so this is not a big deal.
Really, we don't.
Really? Please send food now. But
Coffee can.
then, I mean, we just do like the payroll taxes. Then maybe we'll once a year we take a bonus. It hasn't happened in like 9 years, but
Might not be.
but so then we get it with the house mortgage, and you get to write off the interest and all that kind of stuff. What the $1,500 check or a $2,000 check comes, great. But I want the check. I don't want that in a debit card, because what the hell am I going to do? I'm not going to walk around with a $2,000 debit card.
Yeah.
Like, are you crazy? Like, that's saying, please mug me. Please. I've already called and activated it. Please mug me so I can use it. I don't understand who they're trying to target here. Are they trying to target the $1 to $20 people who apparently never show up and cash their checks?
This was the other thing, is that it doesn't seem to have been very well described, like exactly why they did this and what the benefits are. I mean, everything
Yeah.
I read about it just didn't make a complete amount
Didn't
of sense
jibe.
to me.
I agree. I was reading about it, and it seemed like the biggest thing was that there's this 67% of the check refunds are never cashed. Well, that's a problem, and I get that's annoying. So we should probably do something about that. I'm not sure this is the solution. Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering if Candelora is right, and my personal information is going to be shared with J.P. Morgan Chase,
Not happy
whether
about
or
that.
not there's an account open there or not. Does that mean that they get to solicit me? They get to send me flyers to, be my pen pal and try to get me to buy stuff every once in a while?
Does that
Well,
mean
this
that
is
they
my thing, too.
Does that mean they 1099 me for the use of my refund?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I have no idea.
Well, the state's already going to issue a 1099 for your refund.
Yeah.
Okay. But does the bank now also have to do a 1099 because you're utilizing their services, you're processing through their account?
Right.
Technically, they have to be reporting that too. So are you getting dinged twice?
No, I don't understand. But you're using them. Like my other bank doesn't give me a 1099 for anything. It's a service. No, they're not paying me.
Right. But the debit card is being used, well, it's being funded by the state through them.
Yeah, well, it sounded like Vinny was saying that there's like a big pot of money,
right,
that we all have a slice of access to.
Pool o' cash.
Right. So we don't have an individual account,
right,
but we have a card that says I get to have a piece of that big pile of money, and here's proof. Talk to these people. They'll take my word for it.
Okay. Here's the real tax question.
Okay.
Let's say you get a $1,500 refund.
Okay.
So you get a debit card.
Right. $1,500 walking around in my wallet for anyone to steal after I activate it. Yep.
But you only spend $500 in the first year.
Right.
Are you getting 1099 for the 500, or are you getting 1099 for the 1500?
Right, and if there's minus $1 because you hadn't spent it, that's really
and then it gets boy, that does get ugly.
See, that's actually a legitimate question.
I would have to imagine,
as opposed to all the other ones. No.
I have to imagine
the other ones were just for fun.
I have to imagine that you'd get a 1099 on whatever the account value is, the 1,500.
Right.
I have to imagine that's what it's going to be.
But you haven't realized that.
Yeah, but I guess
well, that would be true if you lost a check, or if you didn't spend your check too. I guess. I mean.
So you don't use the whole thing, okay? It carries over a year. Now you get ding the fees. Do you get to take the fees off?
Deduct the fees?
Deduct the fees on your Schedule A?
Yeah,
that's a very good question.
I'm not saying this, but I deduct it anyway. Come find me. Even if you're not allowed to.
And they will.
Come find me. Come find me. Yeah. I've seen the state helicopter. It's in bad shape. I'm helping you stay up in the air. All right. So that was. I guess I was kind of hoping with the two Democrats in the room, I'd have a Republican on, and you guys would say like, "No, this is a great idea," and I could beat you up. But apparently, we all think this sucks.
Pretty much.
Thank you to Mike Zepka for getting back to me, and also thank you to Ken Burns over at Farmington Bank. Where is he? He's the executive vice president of retail operations over there.
I got to say this about Farmington. This will be a shameless plug for Farmington. Having a state account, okay?
Yeah.
And there was an accounting error. 9 cents off, okay? I was closing out the account.
Yeah.
Most other institutions would have dinged me for being 9 cents off.
Right.
To the tune of anywhere between $15 to $35.
Right, yes.
Okay? Not these guys. If there had been a check that had then been presented that they had to pay, then they would have. But I thought that was very cool. They were not fee happy.
I have noticed this at retailers, not like big box retailers, but other retailers that mom and pop little shops, little guys in the corner market. Yeah, if it's $10.04, just give me $10 and we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I really don't feel like giving you 96 cents of my change.
Right.
But
that's why they're still small businesses.
See, maybe there's a great story of how Ross Perot became wealthy, and someone was telling me
because he did make change.
He made change. But no, there's a great story of he goes down every day to the local library and reads the paper, and there's free coffee there. So he doesn't pay for the paper.
Right.
And he gets free coffee, and someone said, "You're a billionaire, Ross. Why not get it delivered to your house and get your own coffee? It won't affect you." And he looked in the guy's eye and said, "I didn't get rich by spending money." It's like, oh, interesting. There's a lesson there. I am sure it has to be a PIN number attached to it. Brian says the chat room. Well, yeah. Well, all right. Yeah, probably. It works better for me if it's not, chat room, okay? Let me change the facts to fit my story.
Oh, boy.
I'm now announcing
So
my
dumb.
candidacy for the president of the
I was
United
going to
States.
say, sounds like I have Newt.
I have Newt.
Oh,
Poor
my
guy. We
God.
got like 7 minutes left. What's her name is not calling in. She was supposed to call in, so I'm not
Jamie?
really sure. Yeah, Jamie was
Oh, well.
calling in, but whatever.
Doctor, give me the news.
So what do you
Does she
think?
have any advice for Newt? No. No,
quit
it's good.
now.
Oh my God.
Okay, use the money for another campaign another day. It's not going to work.
See, here's the thing.
he doesn't
He
have the
screwed himself on this because now he's unelectable to anything, and nobody wants to put him on staff. He would have been a very interesting, like Secretary of State or something like that for a President Romney. If Romney could,
I would have
Interesting?
actually.
I think that would be
not
very
made him
interesting.
Secretary of State. I
He
would
could
have
be
made
like
him
John
Secretary of
Bolton then.
Defense.
Oh my God.
Secretary of Defense. Are you nuts?
No,
We'd be at war everywhere. No.
no,
You need
that's
someone
Congress.
Secretary of the Moon.
Secretary of the Moon.
Space.
He's,
Well, you know,
he's in
he-
charge of NASA.
Did you
Exactly.
did you see his
Exactly.
comments in Florida?
Oh God, yes.
He said, "By the end of my second term as
Yes.
president, we will have a moon base." I
And it
was
will
like,
be American.
No way! Did you just
Are
say
you
that?
kidding
Yes.
me?
Are you?
He was pandering to the space vote in Florida.
The space vote. I didn't even know
I'm
there
talking
was a
about how they
space
become a
vote.
state
It was
if they had
0.05% of the
17,000
vote.
people or something. It was crazy.
17,000 people on the moon.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there.
Just gives
Did you ever see
another...
Apollo 19, by the way, the horror flick?
Yes.
No.
That was stupid. That was one of the stupidest movies, didn't you think? Let me let you, get out of this unscathed.
Yeah.
Let me set it up for you. I think it was stupid, and I'm going to think it's stupid no matter what you say. Didn't you think it was stupid?
Yes.
Okay, good.
But it was entertaining.
It was sort of entertaining, but I was like,
Marooned was a much better movie.
Which one
way
was that
back
one?
in the day. Oh my God. You probably weren't even born then. It was awesome. It was like, no, because I'm so much older than you. I'm like making an old joke about myself. It was like 1969 or something. It was great.
You're
The
right.
guy goes floating off into space. It was really scary.
I was not born.
I mean,
then.
that was back up and
correct.
when people actually were in space, and it was scary.
yeah.
I mean,
people
know.
and people were dying in space. Too.
right? Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
speaking of dying, Rick Santorum's campaign.
Yeah. No, I was just seeing on the Twitter
That's great. That's
that
fine.
he's neck
Get
and
him
neck
out.
with Mitt in Missouri. Like that means anything, because apparently none of these races.
Mittens is not going to put him on the cabinet. It's just
No.
not going to happen.
No.
All right. Ron Paul, another space shot.
Oh
really
my
good.
God. Yeah.
All these guys are saying they're going to
Yeah, but
hang
Ron
on.
Paul is actually interesting. Like, I would be interested to see what happens. I would
See,
sit back and watch that
I don't want
show.
interesting people in
I want
government.
int-
I'm sorry.
I
I don't
want
want
smart
interesting
people.
for a
Why?
state.
Why not? Why?
Because we don't want interesting people going mucking things up. We want
We don't
smart
want interesting
It's
people
already mucked
creating
up.
interesting situations
all
that we then have
mucked
to
up.
dig out.
Exactly.
It's
You
been
know
mucked
the
up for
ancient
hours.
Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times?
Yeah, I like the
I don't
interesting
want
time.
interesting times.
All right, fine. We got the date doctor on the line, Jamie Blazinski. What's going on, date doctor?
Hi, guys. Sorry I'm so late.
That's
I had a
all
lot
right.
going on tonight. How are you?
It's all right. All
Right.
good things, all exciting things.
Yeah, all exciting things.
Okay.
She
Good.
says, giggling.
Okay. Sounds like someone was doing laundry. Um, so,
Little extra spin cycle.
what's going on here? What's the scuttlebutt on the Facebook page? What's the big question of the week that you guys are talking about?
Well, we're talking about Valentine's Day. You know, it's just a week away, Brian. Did you see the blog I put on your Facebook page?
No.
No.
No, let me pretend and read it really quick. I wrote a blog about do bitchy women get better Valentine's Day gifts?
Oh, I did see that.
Oh, that's
I
an
did.
interesting-
What do you think about that?
No. Would
bet
be
they
my
do.
answer.
No,
I mean,
no.
I don't. I can only answer for myself because I don't really know. But I think no.
There's a difference between being a bitchy woman and someone who is asserting certain things.
Okay, well, let's not go
But
there.
I
Let's just
actually-
assume the woman is bitchy.
I heard a survey that bitchy waitresses or mean waitresses actually get bigger tips.
Wow.
Wow,
Because
that
they-
does not work in my world.
Well, I
Not
think
mine
sometimes
either.
it creates fear. You know, like there are men that give the guilt Valentine's Day gifts. You got to be prepared for that. You know, they're either unfaithful or they're workaholics or they don't have time to commit or they're just emotionally unavailable. So they try to overcompensate with lots of roses and chocolates and gifts. And the woman sometimes is even aware of this, but she's okay because it sort of takes the edge off or the pain out for a moment, so they take the gift and they're happy. And I'm not kidding you. I had a neighbor once. I walked in her house and I said, "Oh my God, those roses are beautiful." And she goes, "Oh yeah, please, it's all show. He could only act what he gives." And it was like,
yeah.
and it was like, she knew it, but that's what they take. And then there's other times where guys just think, it's easier just to give her the gift because I don't want to hear her bitch. But I will tell you, the women that nag and complain less, they don't need as much. They deserve more. But they're the women, they'll go out and buy their own flowers. They don't need the guy to pick them up the flowers.
Yeah. No, but it's an interesting question. Certainly not on the waitress thing. I cannot, but I mean, if the study's done, then the study's done, but that's not how it rolls in my world. But I guess get better gifts. I don't really get, my wife is very easy, to please and really doesn't really need much as far as gifts like that.
Do you get your wife a Valentine's Day gift, Brian?
I probably do, but it's not like anything that's like over the top ever or great.
Nothing to write home about.
Yeah, no, like if she wants like a $50 purse or something like that for the new season coming up or whatever. Like, yeah, all right, whatever. Go.
But you said she's not a bitch. Of course you have to say that. If she's listening, then you're in way more trouble, and you're gonna have to go buy the roses. So. No. Well, one, she doesn't listen anymore. That ship has sailed. She's like, oh Christ, if I want to listen to you talk, I'd invite you home, but I wouldn't go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. No, she's not. She's very easy to get along with, so that's not a big deal. But as far as like the bitchy, but maybe it's the squeaky wheel gets the oil kind of thing. Yeah. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, a long time ago, I was hanging out with a couple of women, and they were both, this is a true story, they were both bragging about all the great gifts they got for Valentine's Day. And I was like, I got a card. And both of those women ended up being cheated on and left. It's one thing to be cheated on, but to be cheated on and then have the guy say,
later,
I don't want you anymore, I'm glad I got caught him out, even worse. And they both ended up in that situation. And I remember laughing, thinking, I got the wedding ring and the crappy Valentine's Day card. You got the flowers and the chocolate and dust. So, you just got to be careful about those. And this isn't true across the board. There are plenty of guys that just enjoy giving and they're very thoughtful. But you still, you got to be careful when you hear those girls bragging about all those Valentine's Day gifts. It generally could mean that there's something else lacking in that relationship.
I am I don't know if I'm generous, but I don't like being pressured to buy something. And I will certainly kind of follow suit and do like the token gift. But I do like send the flowers randomly in like June for no apparent reason to her office.
Yeah, I like that better. Celebrate love every day. Don't wait for Valentine's Day.
I'm definitely a big believer in that. However, I will have to admit, throwing myself into the bus, I don't think I've done that in like maybe 6 months. So now I'm feeling pressure. Now that you bring it up. Yeah.
You need to, your wife is pregnant and she is going to be on an emotional roller coaster from this. So now and in the next year, during the first, several months of your baby's life, good time to send those surprise roses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd
me.
send
Now,
roses.
Not in the book.
I would send roses now. I wouldn't wait for the 14th. Send roses
Oh, you think
now.
so?
I like it. Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
All right,
That's
fine.
the best
I'll do it.
advice.
I'll order it.
Celebrate it before.
I'll order it after the show.
But probably better to do it before Valentine's Day than after Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Because then she'll think you forgot.
But you know what? How about I do it now and then I do it again on Valentine's Day?
Whoa.
So then it's like a 1-2 punch of I love you, baby.
Yeah, just do it now. I like Dave's idea. Just do it now.
All right, fine.
Just thoughtfulness. But by the way, those who are single that are listening for Valentine's Day this year, Eric and I, in Got 5 Minutes, are having a pre-Valentine's Day party on Friday night. So if they go to got5minutes.com, they can register for that, and maybe, just maybe, they'll find a date for Valentine's Day.
And guys, this is the perfect plan because what can happen is you get there, they'll probably give you a little something, a little Valentine's something, and then on Valentine's, they'll probably give you something else. But if you don't reciprocate on Valentine's, it's okay because you can just break up with them. And then you got 2 somethings for nothing. And that right there is a good return on investment. Take it from me.
Pig.
There you go. Take the advice from Brian tonight. Straight from the guy's mouth. Nice.
Oh, boy.
But
All right.
anyways, I wish you guys a really happy Valentine's Day.
Happy
and,
Valentine's Day.
you know, do something sweet. It's a week ahead of time. Good time to do it.
All right, there she is, the date doctor. Go buy her book. You can get it at got5minutes.com. Thanks, Jamie.
And she's gone.
And she's gone. And thank you, Brian. It was great to be on. Thank you. You're so generous with your time. You're welcome. Yeah. Let's play this song again because that's kind of fun. All right. That's the big show. Final words. What do you think? No to debit cards?
No.
What's the worst thing about the debit cards?
The fact that the two banks are benefiting from this and none of the other banks that they picked.
Not even a Connecticut bank.
Isn't People's
United.
I like People's actually, but I just have a problem with that part. Sorry, that was much more than one word. But
Didn't want to chase my money.
ooh.
And that's Dave's last line because
The answer is no.
corny jokes don't make it here. Gateway Financial Group is our sponsor. Accounting firm of Budwitz and Meyerjack, Deepwater Seafood of Avon, and Sherpa Technologies, as well as CentralCTDental.com. Thanks to the Date Doctor. News Director Dave Moore. Content editor Evan Koboldick was your chat room moderator. I'm Brian Parker, and that is Jen Just. We will see you next week.
Good night.
Sharper than a marble. Smoother than 60 grit sandpaper. On the Horde. On the Horde.com.